Hi, welcome to the Thereafter podcast. Thereafter is a media production company based in Orange County, California. On this podcast, we interview creatives, business professionals, and community based organizations. And today, we have a very special guest for you.
Okay, so you guys might not know this because we keep opening up a new can of worms every time we do this. But me and Armin are big. I mean, obviously we're big lovers of art, but we also have a huge, cool interactions with dance. Um, we're studiers of dance, lovers of dance. We do believe it's one of the most purest ways to show emotions and tell a story. And so I have the great privilege of introducing amazing, super talented educator and dancer, um, Balkan-American movement practitioner, um, teacher and lover and creator of choreography. Again, a dance educator. And then she's a master of being able to, share knowledge through movement. Has a Bachelor of Arts in UCLA with the World Arts and Cultural Dance Program, has been showcased in different things. So like the Orange County Museum of Arts, highlighted in Los Angeles Times, through numerous collaborations. But without further ado, Mia Simonović.
Close, yeah. Simonović.
Yeah, he did it the worst.
Yes.
Mia Simonović, yes. Thank you. Thanks, guys, for having me on.
No, we're glad that you're
Yeah,
here.
thank you for coming so much.
Yeah, of course.
So let's get into it.
Let's
and
get
this
into
and this
it.
is gonna be easy
You think?
because it's all about you, you know. You
Yeah,
have all one person once said, I have all the answers because it's about my life.
That's a good perspective to
Yeah,
have.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, what started you on the journey of pursuing the art of movement and
Mhm,
choreography?
mhm. The way that you said it, I realized at some point I didn't really have a choice. Like, it picked me.
Okay.
It was never something that I was like considered not doing in my life, except for a short amount of time, which I will probably get into. But I started dancing like a lot of suburban young girls do. I took ballet classes at 6 years old, and I was doing a bunch of other stuff too. I was like playing violin and doing softball and soccer. And then when I was 8, I started taking tap classes, and tap was like mind blowing. Like my first real love. I was totally obsessed. I was like tapping everywhere I went. And from that point, I got recognized by one of the teachers at the studio, and she kind of encouraged me and pushed me to take more classes and join the performance group. So then I was taking more ballet and jazz and lyrical and stretching conditioning.
I want to hop in there real quick. Do you
Yeah.
feel like that teacher taking an interest in you really kind of solidified, like, oh, okay, this is my path? Or did you already feel that by the time you were in tap dance?
That's a
Like,
good question.
looking
Yeah.
back in hindsight, your parents put you in the program. So, like,
Yeah.
what were their thoughts? Do you have you ever?
I'm sure my parents did not want me to to be a dancer for the rest of my life. But yeah, my teacher Moni Adamson is her name, at Irvine Dance Academy. To have somebody kind of like paying attention to like the introvert that's in the back of the room, that's like finding. I love dance because I was just focused on myself, and I could really be in tune with what was going on in my body. So to have somebody recognize that and then be like, "Hey, you're really strong at this and you have a lot of potential. Are you interested in taking it further?" It definitely changed the course of my life, and I really looked up to her for a really long time. So yeah, I'm very grateful for the opportunities that.
Yeah.
Yeah, dance educators are incredible people.
Masters, teachers in the arts that encourage their students and the people around them to really embrace and uplift them in their art. It's so profound. I wanted to
Yeah.
ditto on that because I had a similar experience in middle school
Yeah.
where I was in the higher level theater production class, and we just finished doing I think it was Midsummer Night's Dream, and I was Oberon. And my teacher pulled me aside after all the photos and stuff came out, and she showed me a picture like of me in movement, and she said, to this day, well, I was like 13, 12. I'm 28 now, so it kind of stuck with me. But she said that looks like someone who's going to be an actor,
Mm.
right? And like I've been encouraged to do a lot of things in my life. I got great siblings, great family, great parents. but I never had an outside influence put so much emphasis on something that they thought I'd actually like, at.
Yeah.
So that really stuck with me because I usually been
Awesome.
like a jack of all trades. You'll throw me with different hats on. So I love that you have a story like that, and we kind of seen it in other interviews.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that reoccurring theme. I just wanted to bring it attention for the podcast, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another thing I wanted you to touch on, because I kind of interjected, you were
Mhm.
saying you did tap dance and that led to hip hop and
Yeah, mostly like ballet, then jazz, lyrical, which isn't really a thing anymore, but contemporary dance as well. And then once I got into college, I started taking a lot more non-Western dance forms and was able to take Cambodian and Bharatanatyam. I was in Tai Chi for a while,
oh,
West
that's dope.
African.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, then somatic practices, Alexander technique, Skinner release technique. So I started kind of like building up a lot of different movement languages in my body,
Right.
which was actually instilled in me coming from a commercial dance world where you're expected to know a lot of different forms, which services you to get jobs,
Right.
but also I'm really impressed with dancers that come from that sphere because they can pick up anything. And
Right.
it's not even movement based anymore. Like it starts to infiltrate how they process the world, and they like are down for almost anything. And they have this like reverence and attack of trying new stuff that I think gets in the way of a lot of people's lives, where they're like, I want to try this, but then they feel nervous about it. And consistently working with students that come from those spheres and dance in general, dancers are really brave. Dancers are excellent role models for generating change and trying new things.
I do want to touch on, so you were talking about college. So when were you like, I'm going to be a dancer? Was that something you knew by the time you were like a freshman in high school or?
I knew I was going to be a dancer when I was a child.
Okay. Okay.
I knew this is what I want to do every single day for the rest of my life. That being said, when I was in high school, I kind of randomly developed this back injury.
Mm,
It's such a like piece of my lore that like I was kind of getting back spasms and no one really knew what was wrong with me. I was going to different doctors and got like bone scans and MRIs and CAT scans and x-rays, and everyone was like, you shouldn't be having back problems, you're like 17. And this is also actually like something I'm learning is common, this like chronic pain that dancers experience,
yeah.
that's probably maybe tied to movement practice, but also maybe not. So after high school, I had this moment of like, I wasn't planning on going to college, which pissed off my parents. And I wanted to like get an agent and move to LA.
Gotcha.
But then I had this back injury. So it was like, well, obviously I can't do that. So during that time, I was like, okay, I'm going to go to community college. I'm going to figure out what other interests I have, because I was so obsessed with dance. Like I was dancing between 30 to 40 hours a week
Oh, that's
as a
awesome.
kid. I got like really, really serious about it. And so once I went to community college, that was when I started picking up like, oh, I actually really enjoy social work, and I enjoy international relations, and I enjoy ecology and psychology. And so then when it came time to apply for colleges, I was like, I guess I'm doing like international relations or global studies. And then UCLA's program, they have all those things, but they also have
Right.
world arts and cultures. And I knew that that also housed their dance program. And their dance program, I don't know what it's like now, but at the time it was very different from a lot of the other dance programs in colleges in the United States. So I had this idea of like going into the World Arts and Cultures department and just like trickling in movement practice as I pleased, because they didn't have a dance degree at the time.
Right.
But then when I got in, they were like, hey, we have big news. We're actually severing the department. So you have to pick between World Arts and Cultures and dance. And so it was a really experimental time because I was a transfer student. So I was one of the
Right.
first that was just in the dance program, but it
Yeah.
was still inside of the World Arts and Cultures program. So it fed me in really significant ways. And
Cool.
I started to like unlearn the baggage and ways of moving my body that caused pain.
Gotcha.
So the unlearning was happening, new perspectives were coming in, and I started developing hyper awareness of the way that I moved and how energy transfers in and out of the body. And now I dance with almost no pain.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
That like helped. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Helped
it was
bounce back.
awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Like taking a break for a while was great because I also was like letting my body just recover from how much training I used to do. But it also started to repair kind of like what is my body. And I always say this, that it took me away from shape driven movement and put me into energy driven movement. And that changed my life. It changed my dancing. It changed the way that I teach. So yeah, dance and movement is really powerful and can heal a lot.
What's your favorite type of dance? Do you have a favorite? Is that a controversial statement? Someone who's
I
Question.
love improvisation.
Okay.
There you go. I knew it.
I love improvising because it invites people to connect with their body as it is in the present state and also access any type of memory and training that it has.
Right.
And all of it is welcome in that space.
Yeah.
So
And you have so many forms in your wheelhouse.
I like to say that I'm an overtrained dancer. So then involving pedestrian movement too, and improvisation and stillness. Like there are some times where I just like drop into just standing or lying down and like giving my weight into the floor. And there's something about that too, that in my training, it was kind of like not welcome to be still. You like have to always be moving.
Be in motion.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm super jelly of you because
Why?
I share with you before we really got into it. I used to be part of a hip hop dance crew.
Yeah.
And so I'm a super nerd. So everything is a game to me.
Mhm.
And so like in my head, I was like, okay, I'm building my dance profile, and every choreo I learn, everything I'm a part of, every little trick I pick up, it's building who I am as a dancer that I get to showcase when I'm just doing my thing improving.
Mhm.
So like I can only imagine, like he was saying, your warehouse is so robust. You must just be a joy to watch. So like I said, we're real lovers of dance. So I'm super jealous. That's awesome.
I've seen some of your stuff too. Like, I know Matt, our mutual friend, he has filmed you dancing, and so I've seen that.
Shout out to Matt.
Love Matt.
Only time I look at the camera.
Yeah. Matt. So you talked about the back injury.
Yeah.
As far as obstacles in pursuit of your own passion when it comes to movement, would you say that was the biggest one? You talked about like potentially like experiencing a little bit of confusion during those first couple years of college, because there's a lot of aspiring artists, especially in the Orange County area.
Yeah.
And there are things that are applicable to everyone's journey in pursuit of their passion. So we love it talking about the obstacles, the times of confusion. How'd you navigate through it? And hopefully we believe that it'll touch others and help them navigate through there. So
yeah, I mean, it sucked. I was pretty miserable at the time because I really thought that dance was like one of the only things I really had to offer, which is so ridiculous. So looking back at it now, it was really a blessing to kind of realize how much I had to offer. So with any artist, I think when you're in those ruts, to remember that it's temporary, it's always going to change, and to learn what you can in that moment. It's not forever, and it's actually really potent, that time of like distress and challenge.
Grows you.
Definitely. I mean, within reason, like you're like
what I say?
Starving, then maybe not, but yeah.
What do we say on our when we checked in on everybody? Yeah. Don't ruin your life, but it would it would behoove you to what's it called? If you have a passion, you should probably look into it, but don't ruin your life. I always have to do that disclaimer.
We say there's a wise way.
There's a wise
to
way
approach anything that you're
approach anything.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated though by the like, just to retouch, maybe we'll leave it on after this, but the your dancer, growing up and then these back spasms as maybe one of like your first big roadblocks so far that we touched on, right? Uh
Well, my first big roadblock was how expensive dance classes are.
yes, yeah. What's it called? You know, I think we've all like the starving artist trope.
Yeah.
One of our
Yeah.
first interviewers said, wait, what's the difference between what did Randy say? He said
Something wild. We love you,
What-
Randy.
what?
He's a wild guy.
Tell me.
So
like in his
every-
What did he
70s
say?
every-
in his 70s.
every-
It's just- he's lived quite a life. Like he was telling us about
Yes.
this time where he was like going over it so fast during the interview, but he was like, yeah, and then I spent, I owned a bar for a while and I took a break from my art and I took like a 10-year break, and
Yeah.
during that time I crashed a Porsche into a pool. I lost the love of my life. I was
Oh,
like, whoa,
shit.
Randy.
Like, slow down,
Yeah.
He's
Hold
one of the most
on.
interesting people in the world. It's really cool having him
Yeah,
on.
he's a funny dude.
But I appreciate the reminder to take a break. And
Right.
Yes.
it's more complicated for movement practitioners because like you do lose
Right,
your physicality a little
Right,
bit.
Yes.
right.
Being an aging dancer
Right.
is also like a whole thing.
That's a whole thing. Yeah.
But breaks are incredible. Like it depends on your goals. It
Mhm.
depends on how long you want to be in the field for. But breaks are so necessary. And when I started learning that I could apply that to my dancing, it blew my mind because I was like, well, that's not for me. Because
Right.
dance is this like in between of being a professional athlete and being a professional
Right.
artist.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So without the resources that professional athletes have,
Yeah.
like we don't have anyone helping us with our nutrition or cross training or
And you
physical
should.
therapy.
You
Yeah.
should.
I mean, if you have the money,
Yeah.
you have those
Right.
things. But it's not as like,
Plugged into the
common.
actual,
Yeah.
Part.
exactly.
To-
Exactly.
To finish my thought, I guess my main thing was getting to it is I think it's beautiful that like so the roadblock with the back spasms and then through rest, but also expanding and diving deeper into your art form, opening up that roadblock and healing your body. I think that's amazing because most people when it's
Hello.
after this brief commercial break.
Don't
And let me tell myself, my brother told me to mute my phone earlier, but it
Oh.
was dead.
Oh,
So I put it on the charger and then it turned on. But I think that's
life.
I think that's amazing that like, expanding your art form and then diving deeper into it healed your body and then opened up that roadblock where I think a lot of people, their first reaction when they hit a roadblock in their passion art form is to like back off.
Yeah.
And yeah, you showed some wise patience, but you didn't just like give up or back off. You kind of dive deeper and it actually opened up the road for you. So I mean I applaud you for your persistence. I think that's amazing. I think
you.
that's
Yeah.
that's something a lot of people need to hear sometimes because yeah, obviously, rest, know your body, listen to your body. One of my favorite, I work in foot care.
Mhm.
And so they'll always be like, yeah, I did this and it's hurt, but I ran through it. I'm like,
Don't.
okay, if you chew on nails
that.
once, it's a Quentinism. If you
Mhm.
chew on nails once, you're tough as nails.
Mhm.
You chew on nails again, you're foolish.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You proved what's the proof now? You just broke your teeth, right? So
Dancers need to hear that.
Yeah.
More. Yeah.
you chew on nails once, you're tough as nails. You chew on nails again, you're foolish. So that's like one of my best ones.
Mhm.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people they see it as a badge of honor. So yeah, I got a meniscus tear doing what I love. I said, or you could do what you love and not get the meniscus tear, and then teach other people how to do what they love without hurting themselves as well. Because I work with a lot of athletes, triathletes, marathoners, Ironmanners, and then there's just the old lady wants to walk with her grandson.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I want to really let people know that like you're walking living proof. There's a way for you to dive deeper into what you love, but also really take care of yourself because
Yeah.
this journey you can have this journey and your passion your whole life if you respect your body and respect yourself. So I think applaud you to that.
Thank you. Yeah.
I just want to add that dancers are metal. Like I just
Yeah,
as someone
we
who's
are.
as
Yeah.
someone who's been
Yeah.
perimeterly around that world, I remember like I had to take some dance classes in college, and I remember my dance teacher telling me all the different injuries she's ever incurred. And well, we had a couple teachers, but they were telling us about the injuries one session. I was like,
Yeah.
you know, and how they danced through it. And she was like, I was performing in a show and I had a
Yes.
tear and I whipped it. So I mean, it's a brutal art and
Mhm.
sport. It can be. So
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say like 99% of dancers are dancing with an injury.
yeah.
Like all of us have injuries, and I'm at the point in my career where I'm in my 30s. Am I make a lot of my own work, and I'm so focused on improvisation
Hmm.
that I don't have to train as hard as some of these
Right.
younger people do. But I made that choice for myself because of my injury. Like
Right.
even when I was in my early 20s and I was
Hmm.
freelancing in the Bay Area,
Hmm.
I knew how much to give, and I wasn't like exploiting myself anymore
Mhm.
because I had already been through that process, and it took me out. It took me out for
Right.
years.
Right.
So with young dancers, it's a bit of a struggle because they'll have patellar tendonitis or something, and they
Mhm.
just keep dancing and it never goes away. And it's kind of like, how do you find that balance of still training, but also healing and doing what you need to take care of yourself and your body. And it's a lot, but yeah, most of us are dancing through an injury or chronic pain of some sort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to add on to that since we're on pain and injury, and this is especially when it comes to like the lower body. That's my like in my day job, that's my area of expertise. And so I help a lot of like 50 to 60-year-old women who were professional ballet
Mhm.
and when they're younger, and they don't regret a single thing. These women are tough as nails. I'd be like, "Oh, we're gonna do this." And like, "How'd you get there?" She's like, "I did ballet for 30 years." And she looked me dead in the eye. She's like, "I loved every second of it."
Yep.
And I love that passion.
Yep.
I'm very passionate about those type of things too. So me and them, we're like two peas in a pod, and we're talking and yapping away. But there are very consistency, micro consistency is what builds good health. I always say if you go to the gym once a month, you might as well eat because you're just hurting yourself. You enjoy your food, eat what you want if you're going to the gym once a month. There's things you can do for the lower body, specifically with arch workouts. Your arches are the gateway to your health to your lower body. They're what shock absorb. They're your windlass system. They're what basically they're the natural hydraulics and shocks of your body. They're the first shocks that actually work well. Barefoot
Hell yeah.
walking on barefoot walking
So
on
into
dry
this right now.
sand. Barefoot walking on dry sand and dirt 3 to 5 times a week for at least 30 minutes or a mile long. Soft surfaces. Avoid wet sand, but dirt, grass, and dry sand. You can do your grounding. I'm not hating on it. But there's
Hating on it a little bit,
uh,
yeah.
you can do your grounding. I do believe in energy work, but there's the physicality of it, and it strengthens the microbes in your arches, your tendons. It's gonna stop arthritis, plantar fasciitis, tendonitis, sciatica. It helps prevent meniscus tears. All your joints get healthier and stronger if you do it 3 to 5 times a week. Now I know some of you don't make your bed every morning, but this is something that can last you for the rest of your life. Um, Consistency is the building blocks of success. That's in your health, that's in your art form, that's in your passion. That's how you can succeed at your job, even if it's not your passion, if you're consistent. So I do like this is like really my thing. So I'm sorry, I
No,
usually don't go
feet.
in like
I
that
mean,
big of a tangent,
feet are
but
sacred. They connect you to the
yes,
earth as an earthling.
they're your greatest commodity too, and they're your freedom. Because once you're 80 and you can't go where you want, I'm not gonna let my grandkids be the deciding factor on whether I can go to Target or not. I'll drive myself and I'll walk myself, and they can just be written out of the will. So I'm big on foot health and your foot health. Every doctor agrees it affects your alignment all the way to your lower spine. Some doctors argue it helps your alignment all the way up to your inner ear. For any artist, dancer, athlete, and I actually believe every athlete is an artist and every dancer is an athlete. But if you guys get anything from this is the persistence and success of Mia, and also how you can be successful and while taking care of your body. So I applaud your mindset because a lot of people they create beautiful works of art, but it dies out quick because they didn't what's it called? With great power comes great responsibility.
Quoting
I would have
Spider-Man
never
song.
guessed that.
Yeah,
You would be like,
that's what
finish,
was.
you were like, finish my sentence. I was like,
that wasn't it. That wasn't it.
Yeah,
but
Spider-
Or
close
Uncle
enough.
Ben,
Yeah,
actually,
Uncle
not
Ben.
even Spider-Man.
But yeah, take care of yourselves, guys.
this is super random.
Great.
Have we met before?
I don't know.
Because
I
you look like kind of super familiar to me now.
Well,
like,
I have one of
now
those
that we've been sitting
faces,
here.
though.
Okay.
I'm learning this
She's-
as I get older. No, really, I'm learning this as I get older that like I look like a bunch of other people. So that happens. Like one time in college, somebody walked up to me and they were like, "Sarah," and I was like, "Nah, dude, that's not me." And he was like, "No, you're Sarah," and I'm like, "No, I'm not." But I actually found out he was talking. I'm not gonna like say her full name, but he was
Right.
talking about this person who I went to high school with, and her and I do kind of look
Oh,
the same.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, but he was like tripping out. He's like, "You're not Sarah," and I was like, "No, no, I'm not."
His whole lore background is it.
I just feel like you've been in this area, and we've both been in this area.
I mean, maybe like I moved back to Orange County during COVID, thinking
Gotcha.
like, oh, I'll just be here for a few weeks.
Right.
Been here ever since. But I was living in Dana Point with one of my closest friends, and my parents live in Irvine still. So once I got into UCI into the master's program,
Right.
I moved back home.
Right.
But other than that, like I tried to not be in OC.
See,
Yeah,
yeah,
like as
a
soon
little
as
too
I could
familiar.
leave, I did. When I went to school, I was in LA, and I came back here and started like teaching more consistently, but very quickly was like, I need to get the fuck out of Orange County. Get the fuck out of here. This place is weird. People are weird. Also, some people are fantastic and loving, and you
Yeah,
know, like
yeah.
they're good people here for sure.
Absolutely.
But yeah, the culture is not like conducive to figuring out who you are.
I
Like,
think that's what we're trying to
We're
change.
trying to fix
yeah,
it. So.
yeah.
That's like we're trying to.
It's very pressured to fit a mold, to be a
Yes.
certain way.
Right.
So once you liberate yourself from that,
Yeah.
it's beautiful. Like it's a great. It's been nice to move back to Irvine. It's been horrible to move back to Irvine.
Yes.
But it's been nice to be there to kind of like remember all the good things about it.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to do that more, but I still feel the same way that like as soon as I finish my program, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Like I'm not trying to stay in OC.
Everyone who grew up in Orange County actually has that same similar thought process. I like almost joined the Marines to get away when I was 18, just to leave. And then I
Yeah.
ended up going to studying computer science in Santa Barbara
Much
for
better
2.5
plan.
years.
Yeah.
And then I came back down. It was money.
Yeah.
And beautiful place. So like, yeah, this podcast, we're trying to make a healthy Orange County cultural hub to
Yeah.
inspire people to go towards their passions, which I think by definition, when enough people go towards their passions, because people are infinitely unique and valuable, it breaks the mold.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And there's plenty of stuff happening. Like even in Irvine, I did a show at Unveil Gallery, which is
Mhm.
like one of the only contemporary art galleries in Irvine, if maybe not the only one. And the work there was beautiful, and I got to collaborate with an artist who lives in Costa Mesa, Alisa Ochoa, who makes stunning ceramics, like
Yeah.
gorgeous items. And Orange County Museum of Art is
Yes.
dope. I mean, it's been here for a while. Like they used to have it in around the Fashion Island area, but now that it's on the Segerstrom campus, it's like it actually is really substantial.
Yes.
It's free for the next like 10 years or something. Somebody donated a bunch of money, so like
That's
it's free
awesome.
and open to the public. Even Segerstrom's a wonderful
Yeah.
nonprofit organization. So the arts are flowing. It's just you have to kind of
You
like
gotta-
be patient and figure it out where and when.
I feel like
and-
sometimes it's if you know, you know.
yeah,
Like if I go up to a random person who loves art,
mhm.
some of them like will bring up Segerstrom. Other people are like, "Oh, what's that?" And like
Yeah.
they've been here 18 years.
yeah.
You know
Some
what I
people
mean?
don't
So
even know.
we want to, and that's why this is all about putting a spotlight on what's happening in Orange County, the people, the artists of Orange County, the nonprofits of Orange County, the business professionals of Orange County, because it's like, I think I relate it to you can't borrow sugar from your neighbor anymore.
Mhm.
So like you might have the person that has, you might you might not know the person that has the answer to your question.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we're trying to get the neighbors out for sugar again.
Cool.
So yeah,
I like that.
you know,
Yeah.
because I think we're all Orange County, and we all get it. We're all Orange County natives.
Yeah.
We're all guilty of we're at our house, and then we're at point B. And then we're back at our house.
Yeah, there's
and so the community's kind of schism.
Third spaces.
The third space, yeah.
That what people, yeah.
Even the transit space, you really just
Right.
it's not there.
You're isolated.
You're very isolated.
Yeah, and that was something great when I lived in Oakland for a while, and I was commuting into San Francisco and doing work in Oakland also, and doing work further away from Oakland. Just commuting. Like commuting was so like you see a bunch of different people and you're interacting with like all different forms and walks of life and watching how they move and going from one place to another, and like that was so significant.
Mm-hmm.
Here I have that with I have this obsession with traffic on the freeway. How like as soon as one person gets on, it actually causes this chain reaction of everybody shifting places.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like a beautiful movement practice too, but you're isolated in your own space and you're, shrouded by a machine.
Everyone's in a miniature world.
Yeah.
Their own miniature world.
We have family from the Bay, so we used to go up there like 4 or 5 times a year. Yeah.
At a certain point, I was going up there once a month with my mom, like a year.
Yeah,
and it was cool. But we love shout out to everyone. I have like a chain of amazing.
Too many people to name.
Yeah, chain of amazing first cousins. You know who you are. You know I love you to life. They're some of the most talented and most like life loving, fun loving people. I'm glad I'm related to. They're gonna love that. So
yeah, SF has a special place in my heart. My sister and I were born there.
Cool.
Yeah, my father was a former diplomat for Yugoslavia. So
that's awesome.
So yeah, we were there at first, and then when the wars broke out, then we like went back, and then we were like, we got to get out of here. So we came and somehow landed in Orange County. Somehow landed in Irvine. It's so bizarre how the chain of events happened that way. But yeah, because of that, we've like always gone and visited the Bay. And then when I was younger, I just kind of was like, that's going to be my place. Like I'm going to move there at some point. I thought I would settle down there, so that I did it right after college was a little jolting, where I was like, I'm already settling down, but I didn't settle down. And the opportunities for emerging dancers there and emerging choreographers is amazing. It's like if somebody has the space, they're like, sure, here you go. And there's like a bunch of residencies to apply for, and almost no one says no, which is so rare, like especially in like institution settings. Like right now, I feel like any idea I have at my university, the first thing they say to me is no. And I'm like, okay, I'll just figure it out like, in a little different way.
Yeah, our cousin's a choreographer and trained in Berkeley, and then he started teaching there recently. He's over the last couple of years, I think.
He's Eric, your art and movement. I love you.
Where is he teaching in Berkeley? Like the school or a studio?
Yeah,
or?
No, like the actual school. I think he started teaching there.
Yeah.
He he knew everyone because he came out of that.
Yeah.
He's also very interconnected in the community, different studios and organizations.
Their department. So but I believe, unless I got that wrong, I'm sorry, Eric, if I got it wrong. Because I'm pretty positive, I'm pretty positive it was like a little bit of like tension for him. Like one of his old professors like didn't want him to be there, but the rest of this department did, and so it was like a little arduous.
We can be that. We got little cousin privilege. So
yeah, it's something like
he'll get a kick out of that.
Yeah. So I do want to get into you teaching.
Yeah.
When did that start? Like, how did it start? When did it start? How's it going now?
I love teaching so much. I'm so grateful to have found the thing that I care about, that I'm good at, that I want to keep getting better at. It sounds really cheesy, but I learn a lot as a teacher, and to be in a space consistently with artists who are evolving and want to evolve is like, that energy is sacred, honestly. Very sacred. I started teaching at my home dance studio just like substituting. So if someone needed a sub, I would like teach like little kids ballet or like little kids jazz or whatever.
So were you like, was that after post? Like when was that in the timeline?
It was like during my back injury. So I
Gotcha.
never like let dance go entirely. I was
Gotcha.
still sort of circulating in the sphere, but it became recreational.
Gotcha.
Where I would like, instead of taking however many classes a week, I would like maybe take one class a week depending how I was feeling and if my body wanted to move.
Right.
So yeah, it became a hobby all of a sudden, which was actually really cool. I was like, oh, like so low stress. Like I don't have to like worry about getting a job or connecting or networking in the space or getting better even.
Right.
Like I can just dance. Which was also kind of like necessary to get better when you stop worrying about your progress over and over again.
Right.
Progress fluctuates. It's not just a trajectory going upward, and I didn't know that. And I think that dancers don't get told that either.
Right.
It's like you should be better than you were yesterday. That constant climb, and that's just not true. You want to say something?
Yeah, I actually had a question. This is a little selfish, but I was curious.
Yeah.
But I think this will help the audience maybe too. Maybe I'll just tell myself that.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
I kind of blew out my feet when I was younger, which goes back to the whole foot health thing. But I was a dancer, skater boy, and then I was a track star. So I was a triple jumper and hurdler. But anyway, after I got severe plantar fasciitis, I kind of became a recluse.
Yeah.
And I went like full nerd and I built a computer and I was chilling out in college.
Cool.
And so when I came back into Orange County and I started taking dance classes at Saddleback, I found that, and maybe I'll just say what I felt and then maybe you can translate. I was so much heavier on my feet. So like when I shift my weight to do a move on the left side of my body and then they want me to snap back for the choreo, I couldn't. I would like hit and I like freeze because I couldn't. How would you, what would you say is the problem with, how do you fix that? Cause like I was lucky. My mom gave me like a perfect body growing up and I just been ruining it since day one. And so I never had that problem. But by the time I got really good at dancing when I was younger, I was always light on my feet.
Yeah.
I could always snap back. And I wasn't quite sure. I was like, do I need more muscle? And is it because I'm just like 15 pounds heavier and I don't know what to do with it? But I would love your input on that.
Quick twitch too, like his the way his body moves is quick twitch.
Yeah,
it's just like a quicker.
Always trying to break physics. Yeah.
Very quick twitch.
So I hit left. I'm like, oh, it's gone. I don't got it. I'm still on the left. I'm supposed to be back over there.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Did you ever like really commit to the left side, or did you feel like you knew you were going to be going to the right, so you weren't able to pour the weight into the left?
I couldn't pivot back.
Okay.
Like I used to be, and everyone else could. I was like, I used to be really good at this. I don't know what happened. But I feel like all my inertia and so like you could see me fighting against it, but then it create like a schism. It wasn't smooth. I'd be like, I made it back, guys. Like, dang, you good? I'm like, no, not good.
Not.
And it kind of like discouraged me because it's such like a small, I think you'll get this. It's such like a small thing, but it isn't.
Yeah.
Like, body control is everything. And I used to be like I used to be really good at body control. For how I was really good at body control for how little, say, I did choreo and theater and stuff, but for how little choreo I did and how much improv I did. Because I feel like choreo really teaches you body control because you're going for a certain, and then your body remembers how to get back to that place,
Yeah.
But for how little choreo I used to do, I used to be really good at body control. And then when I took like a 2-year hiatus and went full nerd, which I love being a nerd, by the way, guys. I'm never giving it up. I'm getting back into my athletics, but I have my little blue light blocking glasses, and I'm very pumped on it.
Those, but...
Yeah. But I was really curious because I'm gonna start going back into like really working out again, and I would love to get back that ease of movement. And is that more of maybe a stretching thing? I'm sure I'm like, I used to joke that like I'm Darth Vader. Yeah.
I think first to not have the expectation that your body will go back to the way that it was. The body's always changing.
Yeah.
Which is difficult for like former athletes and former dancers.
Because you remember what you could do, what you're capable of.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to do that. But I had a dance teacher at the same studio. She was a coworker. We were both teaching dance, and she was older than I was. And I was telling her, like, at that point, I think I was like 25, 26.
Mhm.
And I was like, I feel so old and like my career. And she's, way, way past that. And she was like, Mia, the best dancing you're going to do is in your 30s. I was like, what? How? And she was right, because I can't, my leg doesn't go as high, like whatever, all that stuff's true. But the quality of my movement, the way that I can move through space and how I understand my body is so much like more fulfilling than it was when I was younger, even though the spectacle of when you see a young, very athletic dancer is amazing. But when you see like a seasoned practitioner who is a master of their craft, wow. So having a different perspective of like, you won't be able to go back to where you were, but what's ahead of you is way more fulfilling and
Mhm.
enriching. And just being really, really patient and listening to your body, where
Yeah.
like maybe it's not ready to shift back that fast.
Yeah.
And I know the choreography says like it's on 6, like
Yeah.
go. But if you have the privilege to afford yourself the flexibility in that space, take it.
Yeah.
Like if you don't, you don't have to do it on 6.
I think I'd be better at
Take
that
your
now.
time. Take
I was-
your time.
I was a lot
I
more
move really
stubborn
slow too, which
back
is
then.
like a whole other thing. But yeah,
Yeah.
take your time with the movement and just trust the process, and like it will come when it's supposed to come.
Yeah.
And being upset with the body is like detrimental.
heartbroken.
Yeah, like that
It was like-
feeling,
It was
because
like a silent thing. I was just like,
so notice the sensations that are happening when you have that feeling. The sensation, that's like your body communicating with you. The like the temperature of it, the weight of it, the size of it, and like where it is in the body, the location, the movement of it. Like, is it like tingling or is it like pulsing? So just building that that awareness and that relationship with the body is what's going to eventually like help you continue growing and expanding and moving in efficient, healthy, balanced ways
yeah.
that like will eventually include turning on count 6 the way that you're anticipating that you want to.
And I'm so glad. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Because I know like I think that's a struggle that like a lot of dancers go through.
Absolutely.
I know that like we were heavily.
Some of them are like rolling their eyes at me. They're
Yeah.
like, Mia, you have to do it on 6.
Yeah.
Come
They're
on.
like, oh, she goofing with us on
Yeah.
camera.
Yeah.
We
But
were
for longevity and for like
longevity. That's the name of the game.
Personal enrichment, like
Mhm.
outside of just being like a product of movement, like
Yeah.
how to be a person that's like
Right.
carrying you through the rest of your life.
And
I recommend slowing down a little bit. I
Yeah.
recommend listening to what's
listening to your body.
Yeah.
And I would say this, guys, the best is yet to come. I went from we're old school, so we were really influenced by the pop culture at that time. So we were from dancing wise and how good we were. We would always measure ourselves on a scale from 1 to Chris Brown. And so at one point, I was like, if the right song hits and I'm dance battling Chris, I can take a point off him. To, oh, I can't even shift my weight. I said, throw the whole body away. So just remember, listen to your body. There is a growth process. In building anything, this also is ubiquitous. So whether it's business, a talent, a skill, an art, the graph never looks like this. The graph looks like a roller coaster, and you're going to end up where you need to be. It's just that consistency, believing in yourself, and then believing in the people that believe in you. And then again, respecting and listening to your body. Because I think one of the best talents is to have longevity. I think a lot of people like say, oh, you got to do it for a long time, but when did you da-da-da? I said, yeah, dude, they're doing what they love longer than you. If that's not a win, I don't know what is. You get to express yourself in the way you want to express, and there's nothing holding yourself back. And I know I make this joke a lot, but like I want to be like 80 killing. I met this 94-year-old gentleman that walked in. I made these custom insoles for his church shoes, and he like glided in, no like stiff, no shuffle, just smooth. He had his little 91-year-old wife holding her hand. He had smirk on his face.
Yeah.
The sun was shining behind his back. And I'm
Like,
still trying to
"That's me,
figure
dude.
out,
That's
yeah,
me."
I'm trying to figure out if that was me from the future, if it was God. I had so many questions and I didn't ask any of them. I'm still shell shocked to this day. I remember it like so vividly. I thought I was dreaming, and apparently, but I was at work, so apparently it was a day.
Anna Halprin danced. She died at 99, like just a few years ago, and she danced every single day.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
She was moving, walking up and down stairs, like rolling on the ground.
You can do what you love.
Yeah.
Oh, that's one last thing. Again, I'm very tied into the health of it all. Old age does not equal decline. A micro bad habit compounded across 30 to 50 years is what gives you decline. The human body is amazing. It will allow you to do the wrong thing for a long time, and then it will snap. And then you'll say this, oh, I'm just getting older. No, you did the wrong thing for 20, 30 years, and now you're reaping what you sowed. So you can reverse it and do a micro good habit consistently, and that's going to give you the longevity. That's going to get you rolling around at 90, and I'm rooting for you. But I have to break this, especially in America. Oh, I'm 30. My back hurts. Oh, I'm just getting older. Ding. That's not a level up. You did the wrong thing, and that's okay. But you can change it. You don't have to accept decline.
There's in somatic practices they talk about unlearning. So even if you don't learn the micro good habit, if you just spend time, which this is actually the harder one to do,
right?
Taking away, and I think we live in this like society where everyone's just trying to accumulate as much stuff as they possibly can. So to start to peel away stuff that doesn't service you anymore.
Wow.
But that's really hard to do in a capitalist consumer environment, and it's really hard to do.
That's very interesting.
just in general. So yeah, you can like habit stack, right? But at the same time, if you're not undoing the stuff that's in the way, then you're just like adding more shit. Like you're just like, now you're carrying more weight. Even if like something's good, like you still got the thing that's like not helping you. So get rid of the stuff that's not helpful. That's more important than adding more things.
Less is more.
Yeah, less is more.
Less is more.
Sometimes.
I'm also still in the line. What's the line you said? You don't always have to get it on 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just like how it sounds too.
Yeah.
Be on 6 and.
That's gonna be in my.
It's
gonna be in my Instagram. That's gonna be in my Instagram bio.
Let it go. Again, some dancers are like me and no, it needs to be clean on the right count at the right time. But yeah, I'm a taller dancer. So the anticipation of like how long or short it takes my body to do something that like somebody who has different proportions than I do, that's also a whole thing where like it takes me twice as long to get my long ass arm out to the side, where like someone who's more compact, it's like boom, and then they just go. So that's also something that every body is truly different. It has its own assignments, it has its own abilities. And to honor that and listen to that instead of trying to change it to fit a mold is like what will help movement practice, but also life practice. Like if you're able to be like, today this is where I'm at, and honor that, you're going to be able to be more productive and do what you need to do. That's
like something actually that I feel like I'm learning right now. Like that's a huge part of my daily journey.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's just understanding where I want to be, but not being frustrated where I'm at, and really just taking like an attitude of gratitude, just like really, like you said, honoring where I'm at and the progress that's being made, because there are progress, and trying to celebrate the small wins and things of that nature. So yeah, that's big for me right now.
Good.
I'm pivoting back to teaching.
Yeah,
please, but like as I assume that you're taking this like philosophy into your classes when you teach.
100%.
So do you feel like this development of this philosophy was like more recent, or did?
I feel like I was kind of a strange kid that had a lot of hyper awareness, and I was really sensitive, and I still am really sensitive. So like if someone isn't doing well and I see it, I also like have that energy transfer, and I also now like feel those same ways. Very empathetic. I'm trying to be less so, because it can get in the way. But yeah, with like with my teaching practice, it's serviced me where I can sort of like pick up on how students are doing at that time and place.
Right.
And then create sort of a class plan out of that. I do this really cheesy thing, but it's so helpful in every single one of my classes. Like whether it's my 10-year-olds or my college students, I'll just be like, how's everyone doing today? Show of thumbs. And it's like, it's either like this, it's like this, it's like this. Sometimes they use both of their hands. Sometimes they're creating different like intricate movements that I have to sort of like, okay, that's how you're doing today. That's great. And they, at first, the few first times that I do it, like I teach a tap class at UCI and there are 40 students in that class. So they don't think that I'm actually looking. And I'm like, no, please like hold your thumbs. Like I like go around and I actually scan and I'm like, all right, this is where we're at. So when I was younger, I was already kind of doing that.
Right.
Outside of teaching and just like in my social spheres and with my friend groups. And then once I started actually like developing a pedagogy, the first few years of teaching, I just kind of like adopted other teachers that I had. Like I was like taking on different personas.
Right.
And once that started to become exhausting because introvert, I was like, I can't do this, you know, and I was teaching so much too. So I eventually had a point where I was like, I'm just going to be myself and like see how that goes. And once I did that, it was like night and day what happened with my students and their ability to not only trust me, but because they see like I'm being vulnerable and honest, then they start to be vulnerable and honest with themselves.
Right.
And cultivating that type of classroom environment is what makes one, a student a better student, but also a dancer a better dancer, but then a human a better human, where now we're in a space practicing like honesty and care and kindness and agency. Like I'm trying to develop more and more like how do I get dancers to actually like stick up for themselves in a way, because we've been taught in my field that like whatever the teacher or choreographer says goes. Dancing through pain is like also an excellent example of that, where like so how do and I have this discussion with other practitioners and educators about like, well, how do you know if like they're taking advantage of you or not? Because there are students that are like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom and they like dip out for the rest of the class and you're like, whatever.
Like, where are you?
But it's also like I trust that that's what that student feels like they need at that time, and I have other students that are here in the space, so I'm more focused on them. And that was a big switch in my teaching, where I wasn't like worried about the one who was like disconnected for that time and place.
Right.
I started worrying about the ones who are like very present and ready to go. And the other ones eventually come back. Yeah. Like they need their time. They just need a second, especially with like different learning capacities. And so it's an experiment. I just started to like release a little bit of control. Yeah. And be like, I trust that people are trying to do what they need to do, even the 10-year-old. Right. Like even them, because they're smart and they know their body actually pretty well. So if I can be a role model of how to do that and I'm consistent with my practice, it trickles out into my students and people that I spend time with.
I love that.
We know a smart 9-year-old.
Yeah, my child.
Yeah? Does she dance?
I put her in one round of it. And they did the big number.
Oh, you're laughing.
They did like the big number and she's hitting all the moves and you could tell like in her face, like she didn't look happy, but I think she was just super nervous.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Performing is a whole other thing.
Yeah. So she's performing, she gets down, and at the end of the number, they had the kids like run out to their parents, like in the audience. Like that's how like and it was pretty cool actually. Yeah. But she got down and she came back to me and she's like, I'm not doing that again. so she's
like, thanks for the opportunity.
And that was when she was like
done.
5. So
amazing.
She's expressed interest in like maybe going back, but I'm like, I'm gonna wait until like, for me personally, my parents kind of were they had a lot of kids. Yeah. There's 6. We're 2 of 6. Yeah.
Huge family.
So yeah, I think they were just kind of like, you're doing this and you're doing that and you're doing this. So I really let her decide. Like, you know, I was trying to put her, and I'm a fan of soccer. I love soccer. This is not indicative of how I feel about soccer. Oh, shit. But I was trying to put her in soccer and she was like, you just want me to kick the ball in the net? Like, what else do you want me? Like, is that it? And I'm like, well, actually, you don't get to do that's like a big deal when you do that.
Yeah, like that's like the
So I
point
was
of
like,
the game.
I was like, I'm not gonna spend all this time and money trying to put you in a
Yeah.
sport that you're not really feeling.
Yeah.
So, and there's things she does like she's into softball and a couple other sports. So I'm
Softball's
like,
great. I did softball for 3 years.
oh, that's
It
awesome.
was also like when I decided between I was doing softball and I was doing tap, and then my practices were at the same time as my tap class. So I had to make a decision.
Right.
And that was changed the course of my life.
Yeah,
I
High
was like,
School Musical movement.
yeah. Like, I'm gonna dance. I'm gonna do it.
You're like, let's do this thing.
Yeah, but I was just so much more fulfilled, and I realized that when I was playing softball, it kind of brought out like some of my darker qualities. Like I would get like mad at my teammates when they would make a mistake, and
Right. Okay.
I'd get
I
like
see.
really competitive.
Yeah.
Where like I still had that in dance, but it was with myself, and
Right.
that's also something that I'm starting to unlearn. Where I'm like, why am I so competitive with myself? I can relax. I don't have to do it on 6.
Where are you teaching? Where have you taught? And where are you teaching currently?
So I'm currently teaching, since I'm a grad student at UCI, I'm teaching at UCI. I'm also teaching at Irvine Valley College. I have an internship program there. And then I'm teaching at V&T Ballet Academy in Laguna Hills. So I train pre-professional Vaganova dancers. They're amazing Russian ballerinas. And I teach them contemporary, so they're rolling on the floor. And then I also am teaching with Segerstrom Center for the Arts, their Cass and Promise program. So it's a program where they send out artists in dance, musical theater, and music to like traditionally underserved communities. So I'm working at a DV shelter. There's foster care students.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's super cool.
Love
Yeah,
that.
it's a wonderful program. So those are the 4 that I'm doing now. I've done a lot. In the Bay Area, for the whole time I was there, I somehow fell into this right away, which was such a gift. But I ended up teaching beginner contemporary, no experience necessary, all bodies welcome dance classes.
Fun.
That's awesome.
It was amazing. It was really with City Dance, San Francisco. And that taught me a lot with my teaching, because I started using teaching as community work and like I got such different people coming through, where like I taught people with special needs, I taught pregnant people, I taught just like people who used to dance that don't dance anymore, I taught people who've never taken a dance class in their life. So it was really cool to have that consistently flowing. And outside of that, I also have taught at competition dance studios. So San Ramon Valley Dance Academy, I was artistic director of their senior jazz company.
Oh, awesome.
And then I taught at Dance Dynamics, which I don't think exists anymore. I think it's something else in Rancho Santa Margarita. And I taught at Focus Dance Center and Studio Azul, which is a aerial arts studio in Berkeley that my lovely friend Nata runs. I never taught them aerial arts. I taught them stuff on the floor that then they took up into the air. And I'm trying to think what else. I've subbed at just like anywhere that needs it. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So I've been really fortunate to teach a lot. And
that's awesome.
If any dancers are interested in transitioning into teaching, I would recommend just like doing it as much as possible. That's how you really learn how to do it correctly.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you give out private lessons, or
I do give out private lessons?
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
I have a website. It's www.miasim.com. Honestly, though, the best way to get a hold of me is Instagram.
Gotcha.
So it's at miasim_moves.
We're gonna have them both show up on the
There's
screen.
link below.
Yeah,
In the
and
link,
it's gonna be,
Cool.
it's gonna be attached.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I have a lot of different spaces that I can utilize right now, which is one of the other obstacles in dance is actually just like finding a space.
Yeah.
I mean, you can dance anywhere,
Right.
but there's something nice about having like a controlled, clean environment with a decent sound system. The studio. But yeah, I don't have any like current open classes, but I keep getting asked about it, so I feel like it's time to maybe establish something again. yeah, especially in this next year, like I plan to have some sort of improvisation workshops and
Okay,
community
cool.
work and
Very cool.
gatherings. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to jump around because I
Great.
know we're cutting through time. We've just been having so much fun.
It's been
Yeah, you guys are cool.
Thank you.
When Matt told me, I was like, if they're friends, yeah, probably gonna be chill.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah,
thank you, Matt. Matthew.
He's like, why'd y'all bring me up so much?
Yeah.
Because we love you.
Yeah. One joke that he says is like, he calls himself like, I forget how we got into this conversation, but he's like, oh, you're Big Body Benz, but I'm Twig. And so like he texts me, he's like, Twig to Big Body Benz, over. What are you doing?
Sounds like Matt. Yeah.
I want you to talk very briefly about what you've done with the museums and the art unveilings.
Yeah.
If you could get into that just a little bit.
Yeah, how do I do this quickly? I developed a work that was meant to be like an in the round durational performance, but I had to do it in the constraints of the institution, university I belong to. So it was like 8 minutes on stage. And I was like, I don't want to hold the audience hostage. I want them to wander around.
Right.
So then at OCMA, at Orange County Museum of Art, there was a dance performance happening. I was like, what? And I went and I missed it because it said it was from like 6 to 7 p.m. and I got there at 6:30 and they were like, it's over. And there was like nobody there. So I was like, what? So I just kind of wandered around and saw the artist and overheard them talking to somebody else. And so I just like interjected and was like, hey, I missed the performance, but this is really cool. Are you having more performances? And I ended up talking to the head curator and somebody who worked there who was also an MFA in art at UCI.
Right.
So that was like the connecting point. And
Yeah.
then I pitched it to them to like have this event. And so I took 9 of my dancers. We performed on the terrace and I actually got to do it like as a durational performance and in the round. So people were coming and going. It was one of the most fulfilling moments I've had so far in my career.
That's
because
awesome.
there was this like, maybe no one's going to come. And like everyone who came then was staying. Like people weren't leaving. They actually sat down and watched the whole thing.
Oh,
and
that's awesome.
to then also provide an opportunity for emerging artists because they were all undergraduates at UCI.
Nice.
Except for one who's a doctorate at UCI who isn't a dance major. Brilliant mover. So I was able to actually like employ them.
Yeah.
And so they were making money. I was making money. You could put this on your CV. And then I got contacted by somebody via Instagram who was at the performance. And that ended up being Alisa Ochoa, the ceramicist I mentioned earlier. And she had this opening at this gallery in Irvine. And she was like, I'm interested in having you activate the space and
That's
work
awesome.
and
That's
collaborate
so
with
cool.
my work.
I love that. Next
So-
time you do something like that, you got to invite us.
Please.
Yeah.
So on November 7th,
Okay.
at Irvine Valley College, the arts faculty are doing a gallery opening. So
Uh-huh.
they're exhibiting work. And I got asked to present my work that I'm doing with the students at Irvine Valley College. So
Nice.
there will be like a 15-minute
Okay.
durational improvisation
All right.
happening in the gallery space.
What day is the 7th?
Thursday. I'm
It's a-
actually off Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah,
we'll
it's a
slide.
Thursday.
We'll slide.
Yeah,
through.
come
I know
through.
I don't
It's
work
free. It's like
Dope.
the event is from 5 to 7. I'm pretty
Gotcha.
sure there's gonna be like food and drinks and all that.
Okay.
And we're performing 6 to 6:15.
Awesome.
So but yeah, something about my work and dance has a long-standing history in museums and arts and gallery spaces. So it's not like that experimental.
Right.
But to have durational performance and something about people coming and going, something about that movement practice that now the audience is invited to be a part of. And if somebody's brave enough to actually like join into the improvisation, that's like allowed,
Okay.
you know,
That's
but
awesome.
so far I've only had like kids run through. Usually adults will kind of like pull on the periphery and stay
Yes.
as close to the walls as possible, but they don't have to. Like they
Right.
can wander around through the space. They can stand in the middle of dancers.
Wow.
And yeah, something about like close interaction, but letting the dancers be in that performance space and also giving the dancers agency. For the Ochoa performance, it was an hour-long duration on concrete. And so I told them, like, sit out whenever you want, because essentially it was a task list that was just like looped through.
Right.
So if you need a break, if you need to go to the bathroom, get a drink of water, sit one out, do whatever you want. And very beautiful to see dancers make choices. And I want to see it more in my field, because
That's
dancers
fun.
are brilliant artists and human beings.
Yeah.
And so to facilitate them making something beautiful, not just giving the choreographer all the and credit. Like, I mean, choreographers are brilliant. Choreographers are basically like 20 different jobs in one.
Visionaries.
Yeah, truly amazing. But if they don't have dancers, then what is it?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I've been both, and now that I've transitioned into being a teacher and also being a choreographer, it's just what's interesting to me, and it collaborates well with the way that I teach and my philosophies about movement. So my work started becoming more gallery based.
Is it fair to say that this is the most exciting time of your career?
100%.
Okay.
Definitely. I had my moments like moving to the Bay and being chaotic and like working like 20 jobs and trying, like, that was fun and fruitful in its own way, but also really stressful.
Right.
Now I'm finding a bit more, I know what my gifts are. I know how I want to offer them. So it's just about finding the opportunities to do so. And I'm back into a support system where, like, I don't have to say yes to every opportunity. And that's been crucial.
Love that.
Because in the Bay, I was like, yes to everything. And sometimes I didn't want to do it. And sometimes I didn't know I didn't want to do it until it was too late.
Right.
But I needed the money. I needed the promotion. I needed the networking and the exposure. So it's worth it to do all those things. And when you're young, it's like exciting. But it was really hard. But I learned a lot about myself at that time. But now I actually feel like I know myself better and I know what I want to do, and I'm not just experimenting. I'm like, oh, I have like actually a clear trajectory of what I care about and the type of work that I want to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We're going to hit you with the final. Do you want to hit the final?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
This is like the final closeout
little thing we do.
Okay.
If you could describe your journey, your pursuit of your passion, and I'll do either one word or one phrase.
Yeah.
What would that be?
I have both. I think one word is vast. It's been, I don't know, like some of the stuff I've done I could have never come up with or dreamt of that I would do. So there's that, and just being open to it. And then a phrase that has stuck with me that I think about a lot is one of my teachers, Ross Warby, who I got to work with in my undergrad years, and she was a dancer for Deborah Hay, all improvisational work. She would say as a mantra, as we like did our improvisation jams, she would say over and over again, "What if where you are is what you need?" And so in movement, it's really like that moment that you get stuck and you're not turning on the six. Like, what if instead of being like, I should be doing this, if you're like, well, what if where I am is what I need? And then it's been in my life, like, if something's too good to be true and I'm like freaking out, like, oh, what if this isn't what it's supposed to be, whatever. It's like, well, what if where you are is what you need? Or same thing is if something's going horribly, what if this is what I need right now? What if like this is so... Having that perspective on my movement practice and my career has allowed me to keep going instead of like, this isn't what I thought it would be at all. I'm out. It's kind of like, I'm going to trust that this is fruitful in some way.
It's powerful.
Yeah. Even if it's shitty for now, it won't be that way forever. Right. And what do I have to learn from this situation?
Yes.
You were the perfect person to have on.
Thank you.
And I know that we may have met in the past. It felt that way, but at least we're meeting now. So
yeah, seriously, such a pleasure. It's been awesome. And any platform that lets me talk about dance for hours, it's a gift. Like, I'm really grateful. So thank you both.
Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, of course. Anytime.
No, we're definitely gonna have you back.
Yeah,
at
like
some
follow
point.
up
Yeah.
on what other weird stuff.
That's a wrap.
So,
Hell yeah.
like usual, make sure that you like and subscribe.
Mhm.
Thank you guys for coming and looking through the looking glass. And as always, we're gonna have different ways where you guys can get involved. We'll have Mia's Instagram, so you can check out how truly amazing
And
she
website.
is, and website. So thank you guys again. Take
See
care.
you next time.
Be well.
Thank you.